I want to make something very clear, before I tell you what happened on Station Vorak 9. I, Grenn Talvoss, Senior Medical Officer of the HFY Collective, have seen things. I have treated patients with 6 limbs, 12 eyes, and one very unfortunate creature who had accidentally swallowed its own communication organ. I am not, by any definition of the word, easily impressed. And yet, here I am, writing this account, because what I witnessed that day in Bay 14 still makes my secondary heart beat faster than it should. It started, as most terrible things do, with a routine cargo inspection. The vessel was a small human transport ship called the Rusted Pegasus, which, honestly, should have been the first warning. Humans name their ships like they name their problems. Dramatically. Without apology. The ship had docked at Station Vorak 9 for a standard layover, and everything was completely, boringly normal. Until the screaming started. Now, I should clarify. The screaming was not from a human. The screaming was from a Drellic, which is a large, 6-legged predator species from the Outer Rim systems. Drellics, for those unfamiliar, have approximately the same temperament as a sun-going supernova. They are massive. They are dangerous. They have 3 rows of teeth and a history of eating anything that moves too slowly near them. The Drellic on that ship was named Shorra. Shorra weighed about 400 kilograms. Shorra had claws that could cut through hull plating. Shorra was, at that particular moment, absolutely losing her mind in the cargo hold of the Rusted Pegasus, thrashing against every wall, every crate, every surface she could reach. I was called in first. I, Grenn Talvoss, the most experienced medical officer on the station, walked into that cargo hold, took one look at the situation, and walked right back out. I am not treating that, I announced. My assistant, a young Vathali named Voss, blinked all 4 of her eyes at me. Sir, the Drellic appears to be in significant distress. The Drellic, I said, appears to be preparing to eat the entire station. There is a difference. The human crew is requesting medical assistance. The human crew, I said, can request all they want. Now, I want to be absolutely clear. My refusal was not cowardice. It was science. A Drellic in full panic response is not a patient. It is a natural disaster with fur. Our station tranquilizer equipment was rated for creatures up to 250 kilograms. Shorra was nearly double that. Attempting to sedate her manually would require someone to get within arm's reach, which was medically inadvisable, physically dangerous, and frankly suicidal. So we did what any sensible station crew does when something is completely beyond their pay grade. We called the humans. Specifically, we called the ship's medic. Her name was Dara Voss. She was small, even by human standards. She had red hair pulled back into something that looked like a structural disaster, and she was wearing a jacket that said, Certified Animal Handler, on the back, which, at the time, I thought was a joke. She came down the corridor carrying a large medical bag, chewing something, and looking deeply unbothered by the sound of 400 kilograms of predator destroying the cargo hold from the inside. How long has she been like this? Dara asked. Approximately 40 minutes, said Voss. What set her off? We believe, Voss said carefully, it was the docking procedure. The vibrations from the magnetic clamps. She became distressed and we could not calm her. Dara nodded. She looked at the cargo hold door. She looked at the readings on the external panel. She looked at the claw marks already visible through the small viewport in the door. Then she set down her medical bag, rolled up her sleeves, and said, Okay. I am going in. I stopped her. I physically put my hand on her shoulder and stopped her. Human, I said. That creature will kill you. Dara looked at my hand on her shoulder. Then she looked at me. Sir, she said, very politely, I have been doing this for 11 years. I once talked a Grethian bull whale out of beaching itself during a Category 4 storm. I have got this. You do not have this. With respect, she said, I absolutely have this. She picked up her bag. She opened the cargo hold door. She walked inside. And then the door closed behind her. Voss and I stood in that corridor for approximately 3 seconds of complete silence. Then we both rushed to the viewport at the same time and pressed our faces against it like children watching something they absolutely should not be watching. What we saw made no scientific sense whatsoever. Shorra was still thrashing. Crates were still flying. The noise was still extraordinary. But Dara Voss was walking through all of it like she was taking a casual stroll, completely calm, completely unhurried, completely, utterly out of her mind. She was talking. We could not hear the words through the door. But she was talking, low and steady, and she was not stopping. Shorra turned toward her. 400 kilograms of snarling predator turned toward this one small human woman, and I want to tell you, Voss actually grabbed my arm at that moment. Both of us were holding our breath. Neither of us was breathing. Neither of us was moving. And then Dara Voss leaned slightly forward. And she whispered something. Something we could not hear. And Shorra, 400 kilograms of the most dangerous creature on this station, went very, very still. What, said Voss, is she doing? I had no answer. I had absolutely no answer. I have studied medicine for 32 years. I have read every major publication on interspecies biology, cross-species sedation, and predator response behavior published in the last 4 decades. I have 3 certifications, 2 commendations, and 1 very prestigious award from the HFY Medical Institute that sits on my desk and makes me feel important on difficult days. None of it, not one single page of any of it, prepared me for what I was watching through that viewport. Shorra was still. Not sedated still. Not exhausted still. Not the kind of still you see when a large creature finally runs out of energy after destroying everything within reach. This was something else entirely. This was calm. Genuine, quiet, unexplainable calm. The kind that should not exist in a 400-kilogram Drellic who, 20 seconds ago, was treating the cargo hold like a personal demolition project. Dara Voss was crouching now. She had lowered herself down to Shorra's eye level, which, considering Shorra's eye level was still roughly the height of my chest, was either very brave or very foolish. Probably both. Humans seem to exist in that particular overlap with remarkable comfort. She was still talking. Still that same low, steady rhythm. Her hands were moving slowly, not reaching, not grabbing, just moving. Gentle. Deliberate. Like she was conducting a very quiet piece of music that only Shorra could hear. Voss had not released my arm. I had not asked her to. Then Dara did something that made both of us make a sound. The kind of sound you make when you watch someone step off a ledge and somehow not fall. She reached into her medical bag. Slowly. Without breaking eye contact with Shorra. Without changing her voice. Without flinching even slightly. And she pulled out a small handheld scanner. She is going to scan her, Voss whispered. She is actually going to scan her. I can see that, I whispered back. Sir, if Shorra moves. I know. If she lunges. Voss. I know. Shorra did not move. Shorra watched Dara run that scanner along her left foreleg, slow and careful, and did absolutely nothing about it. She made a sound, low in her chest, somewhere between a growl and something I could not categorize. Dara responded to it. She actually responded to it, like it was a sentence, like it was information, tilting her head slightly and saying something back in that same quiet tone. I pressed my face harder against the viewport. What is she saying to it? I muttered. I believe, said Voss, very slowly, she is talking to the Drellic. Like it understands her. Drellics do not have the cognitive capacity for interspecies communication at that level. Sir. Their linguistic processing is extremely limited. Sir, look. I looked. Shorra had lowered her head. Not aggressively. Not as a precursor to a charge. She had lowered her head the way a creature lowers its head when it is tired and frightened, and something nearby has finally made it feel like the world is not actively trying to destroy it. She had lowered her head, and Dara Voss had reached out, without hesitation, without armor, without anything between her hand and those 3 rows of teeth, and placed her palm gently on the side of Shorra's jaw. And Shorra let her. Voss made another sound. I think I made one too. I am choosing not to confirm that in an official capacity. Dara worked for another 12 minutes. She ran her scans, she administered a mild sedative through a pressure injector so carefully placed that Shorra barely reacted, and she spoke the entire time, never stopping, never rushing. By the end of it, Shorra was lying on her side, breathing slow and even, 400 kilograms of apex predator resting peacefully in a cargo hold that looked like a storm had passed through it. Which, technically, it had. Dara stood up, stretched her back with a sound that suggested her spine had opinions about the last 15 minutes, picked up her medical bag, and walked back to the door. She opened it. She stepped into the corridor. She looked at the 2 of us standing there with our faces practically pressed against the viewport and said, very casually, fractured metacarpal on the left foreleg. She was in pain and panicking. She just needed someone to listen. Silence. Complete, total, absolute silence. She needed someone to listen, I repeated. Yep. A Drellic. She has feelings, sir. Most things do. Dara zipped up her medical bag. She should sleep for about 6 hours. When she wakes up, keep the docking clamps quiet. The vibration frequency was hitting the same range as a Drellic distress signal. Basically, your station was accidentally screaming at her the whole time she was docked. I stared at her. I, Grenn Talvoss, Senior Medical Officer, 32 years of experience, 2 commendations, 1 prestigious award, stared at this small human woman in her disaster of a jacket and had absolutely nothing to say. Voss, to her credit, found words before I did. How did you know she would not hurt you? Dara thought about it for a second. Genuinely thought about it, like it was a reasonable question she was giving a reasonable answer. I did not know for sure, she said. But she was scared, not angry. Scared things do not want to fight. They want someone to tell them it is going to be okay. She paused. So I told her. Then she nodded at both of us, grabbed a nutrition bar from her jacket pocket, and walked back down the corridor toward her ship, chewing quietly, completely unbothered, completely at peace, like she had not just done something that defied every medical instinct I possessed. Voss looked at me. I looked at Voss. Sir, she said. Do not, I said. I was just going to say. I know what you were going to say. We refuse to go in. Voss. She walked in with a scanner and a nutrition bar. I am aware. And she whispered to a Drellic. I was there. Voss was quiet for a moment. Then she said, very carefully, do you think she knew it would work? I thought about Dara Voss. I thought about the way she had walked through that doorway without hesitation. The way she had crouched down. The way she had placed her hand on the jaw of a creature that could have ended her without effort. The way she had said, with complete sincerity, that she had told Shorra it was going to be okay. No, I said finally. I do not think she knew. Then why did she do it? I picked up my datapad. I straightened my coat. I began walking back toward my medical bay, because I had reports to file and dignity to recover and at least 3 colleagues who could never, under any circumstances, hear about this day. Because, I said, she is human. Voss considered that. Is that an answer? She asked. I thought about it all the way down the corridor. I thought about fractured metacarpals and docking clamps and distress signals and one small woman who walked into the middle of something terrifying and decided the best tool she had was her voice. Somehow, I said, it always is. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.